Action fanatics, welcome to another edition of the Bulletproof Podcast. I am your host, Chris the Brain, and joining me, my co-host for this episode, Mr. Ryan Campbell. Welcome back.
Glad to be here. We're two-man boothing it tonight.
Two-man booth and, a little buddy action, and we're going to be talking about a buddy action comedy. One of the best, I would say, in that genre.
When it comes to, proven winners in formatting, Buddy Cop's got to be such a high success rate. I mean, it's not like there's a lot of like huge flops that are Buddy Cop movies. It seems like it's a pretty, as long as you cast people that are,
right,
that are charismatic, it pretty much carries the rest of the way.
As long as that chemistry is good between the two buddies, you got it made in the shade. Yeah, it's definitely one of the tried and true formulas of the action genre. But before we get into that, what a great episode we had last time talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think that was one of my favorites that we've ever done.
Yeah, mine too. I was pretty hyped for that one. Probably the most prepared I felt for one.
Yeah,
I was ready.
That was one of your all timers. So I knew you had to be on, but we had everybody on, which is always a nice thing that when it happens. It doesn't happen often, so I think it makes it special when it does happen. And that was, of course, part of Ninja Week on Bulletproof Action, and we had a week full of Ninja-related posts. We also had the podcast. Thank you for everyone who checked us out during that week. And, of course, we always want you to keep checking us out because there's always something going on. Ryan Campbell, you are doing something. I just keep calling the show Which is Which, and I know that's not right. But
when you first texted me that, I assumed that I had just misspelled it 100 times in the article. Like when you first texted me, I was like, "Oh, let me guess." In my article, I kept spelling which wrong.
You could have
multiple times, but I went back and reviewed it, and that wasn't it. So
I enjoy calling it that, and I know you'll be covering that as it progresses.
Yep, Agatha All Alone, the new Marvel TV show. I thought it was pretty fun. Go read my review for the first 2 episodes. They did the whole 2-episode premiere thing, but then it'll be one. I guess I didn't really look at the review schedule to see if they're going to be doing any more. Sometimes Disney does that where a few random weeks they put stuff together, but it kind of fits in nice around spooky season. I guess it's supposed to start getting cold. I swear it's 94 degrees every day here still, but eventually it should start getting a little cooler and start getting a little spooky out.
Yeah, I think it's dropping into the 70s here this week, but that's about as cool as it's going to get. And yeah, there's part of me that's like, that's fine. And there's also part of me that's like, it doesn't feel like spooky season when it's 90 degrees out. So, you got to take the good with the bad. So yeah, that's happening. You're also covering Rings of Power because you're insane.
It's a mystery. I honestly, I've never experienced anything like this show. I can't quite figure it out. Follow along for just me trying to figure out what is this show. I don't hate it. It annoys me, but I find myself every week like kind of eager to watch it. I'm not hate watching it or watching it because I have to cover it. Like I kind of look forward to it. I don't know if it's just the fantasy fan in me. But then the show drives me insane when I watch it. I can't quite figure it out. And I think I made some strides this past week. Go check out the article to see if I did. I think there was like a 1 step forward, 2 step back kind of thing, but it's been an adventure.
I really feel for you because I think when this whole journey is over, you're not going to be any more knowledgeable than you
Well, apparently it's going to be 5 seasons. So this is going to be an ongoing saga.
God. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's all we could say. But yeah, we are, rapidly running out of September. We're almost into October. We got some stuff planned for October there's always something planned, but we're going to have the best Van Damme week ever come October. And I've already been working on some stuff for that. So always something to look forward to on bulletproofaction.com. Check it out.
You're always like 2 months ahead.
I try to be.
When it comes to the special stuff, it's the booker in you. You've got this thing all
long-term planning is you gotta have those tent poles. You gotta have those big events. You gotta have those destinations. And the best Van Damme week ever is coming back, which I believe a time traveling me told us that back when we did Time Cop earlier this year.
I believe he did. I
So,
remember that episode.
this has been been done before. But yeah, that is coming up. Again, one last time, bulletproofaction.com. Check it out. But right now, we kind of teased it. We're talking about a buddy cop movie, a very successful action comedy. It is the one and only. It is Rush Hour. And we just passed the anniversary of Rush Hour, which was released September 18th, 1998. Now, a lot of times when we have you on here, Ryan, I know for sure you probably have not seen the movie we're talking about, but this one feels like you would have seen it. This was like in your formative teenage years. Like this just hit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen Rush Hour. I haven't seen it in a while,
Right.
but yeah, I easily remember it. I didn't feel like it was '98. It feels much more recent than that. Like it feels just like it
That's
fits in.
weird.
I guess part of the buddy cop thing is too is it can be kind of timeless, but I would assumed it was. It feels like it's later. But yeah, I going back and watching it, I thought I remembered the plot of it as Rush Hour 2,
Mm-mm.
and I thought I don't remember Rush Hour 1 really. I know 2 was the one where they kidnapped the girl. And then as I was watching, I was like, well, what the hell was Rush Hour 2? So now I guess I gotta go back
Yeah,
and
Rush
watch
Hour
it.
2, they go to they're in Hong Kong. Yeah, but I don't remember. And that one I saw in the theater. I remember not seeing Rush Hour right away. It was probably either a rental or maybe when it hit, premium cable channel of some
Yeah, it's
description.
rated R, isn't it?
Yes.
It's R, right? So 98, I wouldn't have been able to see it in
Right.
theaters.
I don't know why I didn't go. I just didn't go. It was one of those ones.
Fun fact, though, kind of ties in. Lethal Weapon 4 was the first rated R movie I ever saw in
And that
theaters.
was
So
earlier in 1998.
that one I went with my parents. I don't know why, but that's just the first rated R movie I've ever seen in theaters.
Maybe they felt you were old enough for that shit. I don't
I
know.
guess.
I don't know. But yeah, so this one ended up being, number 9 at the box office for the entire year and coming, that's pretty impressive when you don't drop until September.
And I assume it probably didn't have a very high budget. I mean, it's got
Right.
some good action stuff in it, but when you buy that entire Jackie Chan Hong Kong stunt team, they all come as a package deal.
Right.
I'm guessing.
Right.
So I would assume it had a pretty low budget.
And you have to imagine, obviously this is very similar to Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon was the original Lethal Weapon was released off season. Like it was a March release. Like who the hell puts a movie in March? It's like you could almost like they didn't know what they had. It almost seems like the same type situation here. Like, Jackie Chan at this point, Rumble in the Bronx kind of finally like planted his flag here in the United States after trying multiple times prior to that. But obviously this is the movie that he blew up. And you have to wonder if this was competing in the middle of summer, would it have gotten lost in the shuffle? Like, was this a good thing that it kind of came out on the after, the big summer releases?
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, and I think it's kind of hard because they usually set these release dates well before they know what they have, and so they kind of have to just gamble on the fact that these two stars are going to be able to create enough charisma, and they're going to be able to market the movie enough to let people know it's worth going to. But if you can do that, and you've got the theater all to yourself for 2 or 3 weeks in a
Right.
downtime, then I mean we've seen that work before. I think John Wick was kind of like that. It was
Yep.
like a late August, early September. I mean, Keanu Reeves is a pretty proven name, but end of summer, start of school season, whatever, came out and found a nice little niche there. I think kind of low budget action movies fit really well at that kind of end of summer,
Right.
especially when now it's so dominated by genre movies and superhero movies that it's really really hard to make a dent in the heart of the summer. So
And this definitely was one of those word of mouth movies too. And this is prior to social media as well. So you really just had people talking about it, and I think that got people to continue to go week after week. Because they were probably like, okay, yeah, like that's cool and all. Like like that was me. I'm like, yeah, I'd watch it, but it was not like I was in any rush to see it. But then I saw it, and I was like, yeah, I probably should have saw this in the theater. But the second one, I was there. Third one, I don't think I've ever seen. So, but we'll cover that down the road. This movie opens up on the docks of Hong Kong, and it's obvious that some kind of shady business is going on.
World's Dangerous Docks, is that in the works?
Oh, it could be. Waterfronts, world's most dangerous waterfronts.
Hercules in New York can show back up.
Oh, you better believe he could. Oh, I got a great compliment from the DTV connoisseur. He was so happy that we covered Hercules in New York
Oh, it's
on
our
this
pleasure.
podcast, and you better believe it was. We can make you. Let me pull up those notes. We'll just do that one again. No, we're gonna do Rush Hour. So yeah, there's something going on. Great music of Lalo Schifrin, the legend from Enter the Dragon, and many others. He's in there.
This is a great. I even watching it back the other day. I was like, this theme here at the beginning
Mhm.
goes so hard. I forget what it reminded me of at the time, but it really sets the tone right off of what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Oh, it kind of that's what it was. It almost sounds like an Oriental James Bond theme. There's definitely like some James Bond kind of theme
Right.
to it, but with that, of course, that Oriental flavor is amazing. It's really good stuff.
And we see that Inspector Lee has made his way onto a ship, and Inspector Lee, of course, played by the one and only Jackie Chan. And he's looking for the mysterious Jun Tao. But instead, he finds the blonde baddie named Sang. And
And
what an iconic like henchman character this guy is.
he's pretty good, and he has a pretty iconic kind of end that we'll get to at some point. But Ken Leone, who kind of finds a nice little niche and makes quite a career for himself. I don't really recall him being in anything prior to this, but I mean, it was '98, so I don't know if I would have picked up on it. But he's still got a career that's going.
He does. And yeah, he's excellent in this film. So Inspector Lee does not get to Juntao. He does get shot at. He's nearly crushed by a shipping container. And Sang ends up getting away. But while all of this is happening on the last day of British rule for Hong Kong. So this is set historically there. And it's also Han, his last day as in Hong Kong. Han, played by Tzi Ma.
What a day.
And him and his daughter, Su Young, are off to Los Angeles, where Han will serve as consul at the Chinese consulate. And he's been given a nice farewell dinner by his buddy and the British police commander, Thomas Griffin. And everything's, oh, what a wonderful send-off. But Lee shows up, and it's even better news for Han because, hey, we've recovered all these millions of dollars of historical.
That shipping container was filled with Chinese artifacts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No wonder it was so seedy and dangerous.
And they've got him back, and what a wonderful thing this is. So yeah, it's just even more reason to celebrate. Lee then bumps into Su Young, Han's young daughter, like 10, 11 years old. I think they say both during the course of this film.
That's how you when you have
in the
kids,
middle.
You lose track of it.
And she's not really happy about moving to America, which you could understand. I mean, no kid wants to move. You don't know who you have no friends where you're going. I mean, in this case, it's a huge move. It's not like you.
My kids would flip out if we moved 2 streets over, let alone to another country where they don't speak the language.
Right. Exactly. So Lee does his best to kind of ease her fears, and he's obviously has a rapport with her, kind of like probably an unofficial uncle to her, having worked so closely with her father for years. And now we go to Los Angeles ahead of Han and Su Young, and we meet Detective James Carter, Chris Tucker himself. He is working undercover, attempting to buy some C4 from a arms dealer named Clive.
Because as at the time, there's random C4 dealings and
hey, you don't know,
diner parking lots, man.
You don't know.
LA was crazy in '98.
You don't know. Clive, played by Chris Penn, from the Best of the Best movies, is probably what he's most known for in the action world. But this deal is interrupted by 2 uniform officers who were getting some donuts, possibly at the diner. Not to stereotype or anything, but they're there. They see this going on. It's obviously something. Again, it's the shady dealings in this movie are quite obvious. There's like red flags. Like, we're doing something.
Yeah, I
shady.
have to imagine too. They'd probably wait until the cop car left the parking lot.
That would have made sense.
Right
that would have made sense. you're thinking Clive and old Carter were not. Um, and Carter's like trying to kind of like give him the Iggy that like just hey get out of here, but he can't at that point. He doesn't want to blow his cover, and it's even worse when they pull out their weapons. Clive ends up shooting him. I believe they have bulletproof vests on though. I don't think we have cop kills like in the first few minutes of the movie. He jumps in his car. Carter chases him on foot. He's shooting at this car. Now, again, there's C4 in the trunk.
And we know what that means in movie world.
With bullets.
If there's a bullet anywhere near C4, you're going to get an explosion.
And Clive realizes that too because he just gets the hell out of the car. And good thing because like moments later, the thing blows up. Clive is arrested. And then we get to the next day at the Chinese consulate, and there's Han seeing his daughter off to school. And, he's like, you know what? I will be there to pick you up myself later. So
I'd hope so. It's her first day.
I can't go with you. I've got business here, but I'll be there later. You'll be good. So she goes in. She's got a driver. She's got a bodyguard. And she's singing some Mariah Carey. And, that's one of the things about Rush Hour that I forgot was how much good music they have in this film.
There are some pretty good needle drops. And to those of you listening out in the world that may be of the younger variety, there is Mariah Carey music that is not Christmas themed.
Exactly. And this was like peak Mariah Carey. And she's got, again, Si Young's driver, George Chung, who is very recognizable in a bazillion things, but U.S. SEALs 2, RoboCop 2, we've probably talked about him on those editions of this show. And I don't know that he's really appreciating the singing, but you know what? It's his job. He's got to drive this girl to school, so shut up and drive. But blocking the way in posing as a police officer is a man that we know is a bad guy, Ryan Campbell.
Yeah, I think if you want to be a covert bad guy, maybe it's the best not to like bleach blonde your hair. I mean, kind of stain out.
Again, though, where are we at?
Los Angeles.
La La Land. He's fine there. Yeah, if you had a blonde Asian man as a cop in like Cincinnati, that probably would stand out like a sore thumb.
But not in LA. He moved out there to chase his dreams of acting and then ended up just having to go to the police academy.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Or maybe he's method and
that sounds like a whole spinoff we could have
had. I enjoy it. And he gets to hit the line that it's rush hour. He says rush hour. Ring the bell. Good for you, Sang. So yeah, Sang's there. He stops them. He puts his car in front of theirs. They can't go. What's the deal? Oh, it's rush hour. Shoots the driver. Shoots the bodyguard. Then attempts to kidnap Soo Young, but she's a feisty one. She
gets a nice good. Now he's got a recognizable hairstyle and a recognizable scar.
Yes. And she takes off.
All the hallmarks of a good henchman.
Yeah, like if he wasn't cool enough looking, now he's got a scar to go with his look. She gets out, runs out, but he, Sang didn't come alone. He's got a motorcycle accomplice.
He's got a motorcycle and a white panel van. This dude came prepared.
Yeah, if you're gonna kidnap a kid and you don't have a white panel van, what are you even doing?
He had to play A, B, and C.
That's why he's the right-hand man.
That's right.
That's why he's the right-hand man of Juntao. So that happens. Does not take long for the FBI to get involved. They show up at the Chinese consulate. We got agents Russ and Whitney. They're assigned to this case. And Han mentions, hey, I've got somebody I want to work with you from back in my neck of the woods, Inspector Lee.
Because if there's anything the FBI loves more that we've learned, again, movie logic, is that the FBI does not want anyone else getting involved in their stuff.
They are very territorial.
They take over, and they don't want anyone else muscling in.
They throw their weight around, and it's usually the cops who are pissed off, like, who are these guys coming into our backyard?
The feds are here.
Oh, great. We don't want the feds here. And in this case, it's a little bit different because they're like, no. We don't need some Hong Kong cop muddying the waters for us.
That's right.
But we go to the police station, and there's Carter regaling his fellow cops with a tale of what went down the night before. And one thing we definitely know about Carter is he does not have an ego problem. Or if he does, it's that his ego is too big. But he's a confident man, for sure.
That's right. And in the realm of, common thing we bring up often on this podcast is show me, don't tell me. Not only do we see that here, but we also first get the glimpse that he is not all about having a partner.
Right.
He's never wanted one. He works best alone. And we learn a little bit more why later on, but this is established that he does not want a partner. And of course, if you've seen the movie poster or watched the trailer, you can probably think of what's going to happen. But we've established that here, that he has ego, does not want a partner. And again, we just all visibly done in this quick scene, all setting up the first act of the movie.
And that's where Detective Johnson comes in, who obviously was assigned to be on this mission with him last night. But
because the C4,
because
she's a bombs
she's
expert.
a wannabe bomb expert at this point, though.
In training, I guess.
She's in training, but yes, so she
enough to where they felt comfortable, I guess, sending her out on this mission. So
yeah, that's true. So she's like, why didn't you wait for me? This it's you're you want the spotlight. You're a cowboy in this thing. You're trying to be the big man. When really that's not exactly why he does it, as you alluded to. We'll find out. And but she's like, what else? I hear you're on the verge of suspension. So she's happy to deliver a little bit of bad news. Since he did freaking a car blew up in the middle of downtown LA, and
he just kind of danced about it, and a cop got shot.
Yeah,
it did go kind of tits up. But yeah,
it was not as successful as it could have been, and obviously it didn't get him any closer to maybe the bigger bad guy. It's like he caught the small fish, which isn't that big of a deal.
That's right. You got to see the big picture when you're wanting to be a detective.
Mm-hmm. So now back at the Chinese consulate, Agent Ross, again, as we mentioned, he's getting territorial. So they're going to okay, we cannot deal with this Hong Kong cop. So let's get one of our guys to just kind of take him around and busy him. But then Whitney's like, why waste one of our FBI guys as a babysitter? Let's get the LAPD to send us a babysitter. And then, I had forgotten.
The stars have aligned.
I had forgotten that this man was in the movie. Captain Deal. I don't believe he said shit once in this movie, but I know a movie where he says shit many
times.
Many times, and only one man knows ahead of time how many shits he's going to say. But yeah, Philip Baker Hall, what a fantastic character actor. Also loved him as Bookman in Seinfeld. I mean, that is just one of the best guest appearances on the history of that show. But I'm also, of course, talking about Fired Up, which is not a cheerleader movie, you bastards. It is.
It's not. It is not a cheerleader movie.
It is a movie that has cheerleaders in it, but it's really something special. If you've never seen it, I don't normally suggest non-action movies, but that one has a special place in my heart, and I don't know why, but it does.
I'm due for a rewatch. It's been a while, but yeah, it does not get talked about as much as it should.
But yeah, so Deal gets this call from the FBI, and at first he's like, he knows what this is. He knows this is bullshit. FBI throwing their weight around, wanting to waste one of his perfectly good men that he needs, because it's not like Los Angeles is a small place. You need all the manpower you can get, and just as he's about to basically tell them to go F themselves, in comes Carter, and it's like, you know what? I've got the guy for you, because I was about to suspend him anyway. This way, he could just do that. I don't have to deal with all that paperwork of suspending.
And they all get a good laugh at him at his expense. Knock him down a few pegs.
They sure do. But at this point, Carter's like, he's had the dream of working for the FBI, and he gets this. He's on cloud 9 at the beginning. Like, FBI wants me? Well, I've about hit, this is big time for him, at least for a few moments. Ignorance is bliss, I guess, as they say.
Yeah, we find out he's I guess applied to the FBI multiple times. So yeah, he thinks this is it. He's getting called up to the big leagues. This is his big shot. He's going to solve the crime, save the day,
Mm-hmm.
and get all the rewards.
But yeah, it's not long after he arrives at the Chinese consulate and meets with Agent Ross that he's like, nope, you're just going to go meet this Inspector Lee at the airport, and I don't want to see you or him until we're done with this case. So there's that slap of reality. And now this leads to probably one of the more famous scenes, definitely one of the more famous lines from the entire movie, because Lee arrives and there's Carter to greet him, and we get the line of lines.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? That's my best.
That's excellent. I knew you would come up with one. So yeah, and after that we get the classic. Okay, we don't speak each other's language, so I will just talk very loudly to somehow bridge the gap.
Also, small little thing I always enjoy about movies and TV shows is just seeing the way airports were depicted pre 9/11.
Yes.
Not only do like people just walk up to the gates to see people leave and things, he parks his car on the tarmac.
Yeah. What's wrong?
I'm pretty sure even if you're a cop, you can't just go park your car on the tarmac directly in front of the plane to pick somebody up. But he does. Puts his Corvette right there on the tarmac.
And that's like, it's not like he flew private. He was on I don't know. I would think a private plane, yes, but you're going to a different sort of airstrip.
Yeah, he's like at LAX.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's not like he's on some private airstrip where, you could just have a limo waiting and you come down the steps, you go right in your car. Yeah, no, this is
but it makes for the scene. It works.
It does. So they get in Carter's car. Lee still hasn't said anything. And this is where Carter calls up Captain D. He's like, okay, this is some bullshit, but just for whatever reason, everybody's just huddled around the speakerphone.
They've been waiting.
They're like, hours. It's like, he's calling. Everybody, get your asses in here right
Meanwhile, now. LA is burning, but half his precinct
Get your asses in here, you shits. And he's like, we didn't get to see
my
that.
Shit.
That's that's maybe in the deleted scenes. But yeah, so they're all there. If Carter quits, though, he's going to be suspended for 2 months. So they're having a great time. Now, where would you take someone from Hong Kong if, they arrive in Los Angeles? Well, Carter believes that to make him feel at home, why not the famous Chinese theater?
Perfect. No notes. That's exactly what I would do. maybe Chinatown. That'd be a close
that
second.
would be good. That would be good. So Carter talks to one of his informants who is selling star maps at the moment. He's like, "Hey Lee, you just wait right here. I'm gonna go talk to this guy." But while he's dealing,
save a thought for the star map industry. I'm sure apps and the internet has killed that industry.
True.
We used to be a country brain where a man could have a nice house in LA and probably single income for his family of 4 from selling star maps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big tourist town. It's a touristy thing to do. Yeah. Thanks a lot, world. Thank God that wasn't my dream job, to be a star map salesman. Because
I feel like there's like a remake.
Do you think it's called
in New York?
Do you think
Pretzi sells star maps instead?
Do you think it's called Star App?
That's if not, there will be one tomorrow.
You're welcome.
Yep, some billionaire is listening to
software person. Yep. So Lee, however, does not wait. And speaking of touristy things to do, Lee catches a ride on a tour bus. And again, Carter, he doesn't need a vehicle to chase anything. He just will chase you down on foot every time. And he actually manages to get onto the bus, up to the upper deck of the bus. But Lee shows us his skills because he can get the hell off the bus while it's moving. He's up on the sign. He gets into a RV. Then from the RV, he gets into a cab. I mean, it's just boom, 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 boom. It's classic Jackie Chan.
Love it. And the way that they all in a single shot. So they had to carefully map up, when he drops on top of the truck, when the RV pulls up, when the taxi pulls up, like it's all
Mm-hmm.
paced perfectly what you expect when you do this. But funny moment too with Chris Tucker is just so perfect in this movie. He pulls the gun out and holds it to him, and then all the tourists start taking pictures, and he starts posing because that's who he is. But it's just he's so in this movie. There's so many lines that he says, and I've seen the movie quite a few times, and you almost there's it's coming so rapid fire. The lines that he's saying, the little bits, the improvising that he's doing when he's giving up lines, that like when you watch it, you just forget about so many of them. It's just they're so consistent throughout the entire movie, and he really just nails all of it.
Yeah, he was the perfect choice here to play opposite Jackie Chan. And yeah, he was just, he was coming into his own as well at this point. So this was a great team up film. I mean, this did wonders for both men.
I mean, you think about it, at the time you had, Will Smith in like Men in Black and doing kind of not to say similar, but a cop that gets pulled in with you had Chris Rock was in that Lethal Weapon 4 that came out
Right.
before this. So, I mean, on paper, it probably looked like, discount Chris Rock or discount Will Smith, but he just took it and owned it. And, I think was probably put on a better performance than either of those in their kind of self, buddy cop kind of styles that they did.
Maximize your minutes, Mr. Tucker. Maximize your minutes. So yeah, Carter gets off the bus, commandeers a motorcycle. This time he's not going to try to chase down an Archie.
I think it's the first time he's ever driven a motorcycle. Right. Very awkwardly, like starts it up and runs alongside it and then just jumps onto it. His long legs flailing behind him.
And so he chases down Lee in the cab. And the whole thing ends with Carter, Lee, and the cab driver, played by the legendary Judo Gene LaBelle, pulling out their guns. And that's when Lee speaks English for the first time.
Another connection to Hercules in New York is a pissed off, stiffed cab driver.
You're right. And I mean, in this case, I don't know if Hercules could have even taken down Judo Gene LaBelle if he wanted to.
Ooh.
That'd be an interesting fight. So these guys are obviously off to a rough start. And this leads me to a non-movie question for you, Ryan Campbell.
Okay.
Have you ever had a situation where you met someone and maybe you did not get along, you weren't on the same page right away, but eventually you became very good friends with them?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't get out. I don't get out much. I thought my first thought was just at the HWA, but I think everybody that I got along with off the bat was pretty much who I stayed getting along with. The people I didn't get along with, I never really started getting along with.
Right. For me, it's usually more the opposite. Like I will be able to oh, this person's not too bad. And then after a while, it's like, gee, no, I can't deal with this person anymore. The closest I have is a coworker, and we didn't really hate each other, but we would and part of it, I think we were both in on it without being in on it. Like we would just go back and forth in the team meetings, because I knew how to push his buttons, and it was, and I know it because I know a lot of people do that to me all the fucking time, push my buttons and get me wound up, and I was finally aha, this is why they do it to me, because this is entertaining, because now I'm going to push this guy's buttons. And then he left for a bit, and it was oh, and now he came back, and now he's one of the people I enjoy talking to the most. But I wonder if people would be oh, when did these two become chummy? Because if they didn't know better, they would have thought we hated each other in those team calls.
Yeah, I tend to be a pretty easygoing person until you give me a reason to, be your enemy. I try to get along with just about everybody.
So shout out to my boy Diego if he's listening to this.
You're a real one, Diego.
He is a real one. He is good. We actually have a little. I'm going to spoil that, but we were going to plan something for a special surprise for one of those meetings. Because what else are we doing? Okay. So where was I? Oh yeah, they're off to a rough start. So then it gets even rougher because Lee messes with Carter's radio.
Don't you ever touch black man's radio, boy.
And he puts on some Beach Boys because he's in California, and the Beach Boys in California are synonymous. But Carter's like, no, we're not gonna be listening to this, and he switches it over to some Jay-Z, which I heard on the way home today. That very same Jay-Z song.
The stars were aligning.
Can I get a what? And then they go to a pool hall, and Carter, trying to show off, like, I'm gonna muscle these guys. I'm gonna get the information we need. You just wait out here. I'll take care of these guys. Not coming clean that the guy he's talking to is his cousin.
Some good moments too there when Lee kind of gets himself in a little trouble, using some slang vernacular that he lost in translation, doesn't understand that he's not one that should be saying.
Mm-hmm.
And Carter ends up finding out that things go south pretty quick. But we also get the funny moment with Carter and the weed. There's a few good weed jokes in here. There's one here. There's one later. There's a good one with the prison guard. But there's here with the guy that's running the door. This is sick of weed.
So, yeah. So obviously the miscommunication between Lee and the guys in the pool hall area leads to we need a fight, and we get a little James Brown's Night Train, which was wonderful to hear that.
A good pool hall fight with some broken pool cues. Good stuff.
Wonderful, right? I mean, that's the key. I mean, you got Jackie Chan. You better get him as much action as you can get. Their next stop is going to be a convenience store because Carter is hungry. But Lee's like, can we just go see my boy Han? I want to go to the Chinese consulate. That's why I came here. Why are we just going to all these places? But Carter, thinking he's like, all right, I know what happened the last time I left you. So I'm going to handcuff you to the steering wheel. So he goes inside. But then, of course, when he gets back, there is no Lee and no steering wheel.
That's right. And I don't know if you know this, Brain, but cars are notoriously hard to drive without steering wheels.
I would imagine so. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't do it. It's impossible. Well, probably not impossible. I bet you James Bond had to do that. Feels like something that would have happened in a Bond movie.
I saw him drive one with a cell phone once.
Okay. James Bond could do anything. So Lee has made his way to the consulate. He still has the steering wheel attached to him, though. But he's trying his best to hide it. But the guards are not happy that this man has shown up. It's like, I need to talk about the daughter of the... they're like, uh-oh, this is trouble.
They also assume he's one of the, kidnappers.
Right, because he's like,
they know that they're Chinese.
I'm here to talk to Han about his kidnapped daughter. Oh, shit. And then, but this is Jackie freaking Chan. So he takes those guys out, makes his way over the wall, into the house. He's just schooling these FBI guys left and right. They have no chance against Inspector Lee.
Which is funny because then they get upset about Carter getting away. And I'm like, he just took down your entire compound. What did you expect from the LAPD, that stooge that you had to follow him around?
Mm-hmm. Excellent point.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy.
Gosh,
Lee and Han reunite. And that's when he's like, what the hell happened to Carter? Carter does show up, comes in there with all his swagger and
towing his car.
Yeah, his car's towed, and he's got to get that steering wheel reattached. And he goes to pick up the phone. Like, I'm going to call and just as he picks it up, he actually ends up picking up the call, and it's the no good bastard Sang.
Yeah, this movie's pretty perfect in how it kind of sets itself up and flows. This is maybe the one kind of MacGuffin kind of, the fact that he picks up the phone right as the call comes in. But, I they had to get away for him to take the call,
right.
And that's probably the only way that made sense. I think if it just rings one true time and then he picks it up because he's standing like nearest to it, and I'll just go, no. I think that would have worked perfectly fine instead of it just being like the way that they timed it. But small nitpick. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I
It
mean, I
works.
guess the other thing he could have done is call his boss, like, "Oh, he's not available. Will you have him call me back at this number right away?" But
And then the phone
that would have
rings and
extended the
yeah,
scene, and they probably were, they kept this thing pretty tight, which I appreciate. Not
it
everything
is.
needs
It is a very well-paced movie, man. The thing just goes.
right, so not everything needs to be
Unlike
2 hours.
Rush Hour.
Oh,
You
ironic.
see what I did there?
Oh, very ironic. Yes. So yeah, they want $50 million to be delivered at 11 p.m. the next night, and they'll call 30 minutes before that with
It gives him a very complicated order of what bills, and
he does, yeah.
Chris Tucker goes, "You want any fries with that, or was there any fives with
And he
that?"
fives with that, right? Nice line. So yeah, he wants tens, 20s, and hundreds, I believe.
Something like that.
Fuck 50s. Carter manages to keep saying on that phone long enough that the feds are able to run a trace.
See, he knows what he's doing.
And the call comes. The call came from a building in downtown LA, so of course that's where everybody heads. But Lee's like, why would they have? Why would they be here? Just because they made the call from here doesn't mean they would have the girl here. And he's right.
They're also too smart to even get traced at all, anyway.
Right.
Like,
Right. Do they want us to come here? Is this a trap? Is this a trap, Admiral Akbar? Yes, it was, because Russ sends in his team, despite what Lee telling him you shouldn't do it. They get up
and
there.
again, movie logic: the feds will always run headlong into the trap
Foolish feds.
because they're stupid.
Because they're too cocky. They think they're the big guys. They're not. This is not local. They don't know what the people they're dealing with. So anyway, Lee was right, because the team finds out that they all die in an explosion. Come on. Come on.
And they all die in an explosion.
Come on. Well, we barely know these people, but it's sad. These people are dead because of you, Agent Russ, you bastard. And of course, during all this chaos, there's that blonde streak running through the street. Here's Sang. Lee spots in, and we get a chase. They go in.
Yeah, I think maybe he could have hung out in a alleyway for maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, he should have.
Maybe give it a minute. But pull your phone out, play some Candy Crush, and then go out.
There was no such thing back then.
Oh, that's why then.
See, nowadays people could just lose time.
You just scroll some TikTok, and before you know it, 3 hours have passed.
You can lose all track of time. Back then, you knew everything. Everything moved at a slower pace. We get the chase, and they end up in a building that's under renovation. And Sang has an axe, because that's awesome. And we get some Sang versus Lee action. But Sang is a slippery one. He constantly is getting away. And while he's getting away, Lee and Carter have a great fall, because you always have to have falls in Jackie Chan movies.
It's the way they seamlessly move in these kind of tropes that if you've watched any of the movies from Jackie Chan's team that he filmed in China, there is like a commonality of like the different kinds of sceneries of like scaffolding at a job site, or or a pub kind of bar / restaurant, or a dock, or like there is a kind of a common, and they just kind of plug and play them around. But the movie, like, they all make sense. There's no time that they find themselves in some scenario that seems obviously done to have a fight scene and just doesn't work. That they just seamlessly move through all of them. That of course there'd be some refurbished building in downtown LA that they could probably chase through. So it all works, and they still get the moments. They get all the running around through scaffolding and flipping through bars, and he gets hit out the window and has to jump out the window with the axe and everything. And it all is obviously cranked to 12 because it's Jackie Chan,
right?
But it doesn't feel out of place or weird or misplaced in the movie.
I mean, and I think that's one of the things that I marvel at with these. It's just like, who sees these things and then they're like, this is what we can do, and then they do it. Like, let's do these crazy things, flipping around, jumping around, falling through this, going through that.
And your lead actor is doing it, not even stunt doubles.
Right. Yeah. That's even more impressive in the Jackie Chan world. Yeah. So
He could have got crushed by a shipping container 2 minutes into the movie, and that's it. No more
yeah,
rush
it's like,
hour.
what's the insurance on Jackie Chan? Like,
I have no
how
idea.
much do you have to? Like, that's probably the biggest part of the budget. Like, just
Like,
the insurance.
was that the last day of filming was him narrowly
Oh
avoiding
yeah, do
getting
they
killed
have to
by,
do that? Like, okay,
right. They gotta do those like they push all that stuff to
again,
the
they
very
probably got
end.
like an actuary or somebody else. Like, okay, here's the most likely he's gonna die. Let's save that for the end because yeah, we'll get as much of him in the movie as possible, and
Right,
then if
right.
we
Get everything shot that you can before he potentially kills himself.
yeah, because then we can just double him at some point and do some movie magic. So yeah, so again though, Sang gets away, but Lee manages to get the detonator off of him. So at least they think it's a detonator. They go to Detective Johnson,
We got a lead.
and she does confirm that in fact it is. But she was practicing a bomb detonation, and Carter's interruption causes her to fail. And I did like that the guy testing her when
Yeah, he let it happen.
she's like, well, he distracted me, and he's like, well, what the hell? Basically, what the hell do you think is going to happen out
What
in
do
the
you yeah.
world? Like the world's not just going to stop because you have to detonate a bomb. So yeah, that was very realistic, very
It's
good.
a good instructor, yeah.
So later,
Preparing her for maybe something down the road.
hmm,
Foreshadowing,
I think maybe later they go
possibly
to
investors, possibly you.
yeah. If anybody wants to invest in this show, please hit up our agency, Prestige Worldwide, and
That's right. We once put liquid paper on a bee.
it died.
It does.
Yeah. So they go to the jail. They're going to talk to Clive because okay, maybe he knows some stuff.
It's about the only link they have to C4 at this
Right.
moment.
So yeah, it's like, oh, I know a guy who was dealing with this blowing up shit. His name is Clive. So we're gonna go see Clive, and this is the scene you were talking about where they kind of get there after hours, and he's talking to the guy uh, at the desk.
Trying to get him to let him in after hours, and
Right.
he says, "Then I looked the other way when you had that bag of weed," and he was like, "I was splitting it with you."
Wonderful. So yeah, but Clive, and you know, he's not cooperating with the guy who busted him, not surprisingly, but Lee is able to appeal to his, you know, there is some good in Clive.
That's right. This guy's just the bottom of the
Yeah, he's
run.
just trying to make a living.
He's an errand man. He don't want no kid to die because something he did.
Right.
So
He's trying to make a living. And he drops the name Juntao and that he could be found at the Fu Chow restaurant. And he also mentions that I've never seen the guy. I just, you know the name. And not
but hey, that's a location. We can roll with that.
right. That's a first good lead they've had. So, but you know, they can't just go in there to Carter's for you. You go just storming in there. That's how you get shot. So they're kind of laying low. They're surveying the landscape and waiting for their moment. And this is where we start getting a little bit of bonding between the two gentlemen.
Yeah, they've now seen what the other can do. They've kind of realized that maybe they are the only two guys that could possibly get this done because they're surrounded by idiots.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they get some bonding moments, of course, over the Edwin Starr song "War," which kind of comes up multiple times in the movie. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. They have that moment. Jackie Chan's character Lee shares the food of his people, and there's a funny interaction between Chris Tucker and the guy who runs the ramen shack. I guess
Yes.
I know Pumpitch. It's good stuff.
It is, yeah. There's all these little moments in there that just, again, you said this movie flows pretty good, and it's like there's always something.
There is. It's filled with little moments. Like there's no waste. You mentioned this. There's no wasted time. Chris Tucker's if there is, Chris Tucker's going to fill it with something funny or at least just words or it's constantly moving.
Right. If there's not action, there's some important thing to move the story along, or it's Chris Tucker doing his thing. So yeah, you will not be bored watching Rush Hour. So after they wait it out, Carter's like, okay, I'm going to go in first. Here, Lee, you take my badge, you take my gun. So if, you can come in like your LAPD and bail my ass out if need be. Carter goes in, immediately asks for Juntao, the woman kind of seating everyone, the hostess. She's like, oh, I don't know who this Juntao is. Oh yeah, you do. He's persistent, so she does go up there. She mentions it to Sang. And
He sells himself as the lawyer, which is pretty smart,
Mhm.
as since he is obviously not Chinese.
Right.
It wouldn't be, she probably just assumes, oh, that maybe he is his legal eagle lawyer talk.
And he's in a suit too, so it's believable. It's not
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's a schlub showing up.
Do you know if you get caught kidnapping for the third time, what that is?
It's your third kidnapping?
That's right. That's legal talk.
Well, there we go. We've learned something here. So yeah, they go upstairs. Hey, this guy's asking for Juntao. Oh, and that's where we get the big reveal.
That we
Juntao is.
that we probably knew from the very beginning.
No, I was shocked. Thomas Griffin, the former British police commander,
Bum bum
Tom's
bum.
good friend. He was Juntao all along. That's how Juntao was getting away with crime in Hong Kong for so long, because the freaking police commander was the same guy.
I do like the way the movie plays it because obviously from the very beginning at the dinner, we as the audience are probably pretty smart about what's going on here. Just who Thomas Griffin is playing in the movie. A lot of times he's a villain, and he's British, so we obviously assume he's gonna be the villain. But the way that it reveals it early enough in the movie that we get to see that play out because we know, and some of the other people know, but a lot of the other characters don't.
Right.
So it's not like this big reveal that we all experience at the same time. We are kind of let in on it prior, so we get to see it kind of played out throughout the rest of the movie. And I like the way it's kind of like this slow reveal where it doesn't have to be this big shocking thing where we all learn at the same time, even though we probably have known since the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Right. So we could be like, oh, yeah, I knew it. But, oh, how is this person going to react? And how's that
Right.
person
Now
going to
we're
react?
seeing how he can manipulate the sides and how it all kind of comes together. It's good stuff.
So Thomas, he's like, okay, I'm going to get out of here. Don't let these cops, don't let them leave. And then we see Sue Young being loaded into that white panel van. And Thomas is kind of hanging around out there too, which Carter catches a glimpse on the monitor. They got the cool setup where the the artwork comes down and
Yeah.
covers the
CTV screens.
Oh yeah.
In all of their bulbous glory.
That's thank God Chad Cruz isn't here because he'd have some kind of disgusting
He would. He'd have an aneurysm.
bulbous glory.
It'd be like that meme where the guy's holding it in. There's a giant vein popping out of his head.
In his bulbous vein. Anyway, I'm sorry. So
He's here in spirit.
Carter gets upstairs and he kind of catches that glimpse, but he's like, he's one man in there with a room full of baddies, and obviously the main baddie being Sang. And Carter's like, hey, you know what? Wait a minute. Why don't me and you just do this, man? Like men, one-on-one. Which does not, he just gets hit like instantly, and he probably regrets it, but good for him. Lee, who's posing as a waiter, gets upstairs, but that doesn't go as well as he thought either, because when he flashes the badge, the gun's flying out the window, and just more chaos. And now we got kind of their first like team up fight, and they do quite
That's
well.
right. They finally come together. They have tag moves. They got each other's back, and it's good to see that Carter finally putting that trust in someone. But we do get one of the funnier lines of the movie that I think was in the trailers and a lot of the marketing was when he gets kicked in the face and he does the "which one of y'all kicked me" like that. Right. That's pretty good. It's one of the funnier lines in the movie. But yeah, we get some good. Again, it's a very wide open area, so that allows for a lot of cool stunt moves from Jackie Chan. He does the cool double leg kick as he falls in the chair. They're flipping the gun around, trying to keep it away from the bad guys, and wrapping it up in a rug and flinging it across the room. Just lots of good stuff in this one as well.
And I think one of the things we did skip was while this is all going on, the Fu Chow restaurant, the alley behind the Fu Chow restaurant, is where the drop is supposed to take place for the money. So the FBI and Han are on the
Kind of lazy on our bad guys to be like, let's just do the drop behind headquarters.
Right.
Let's just go back there. It's all good. It's
so they're on their way as all this is going on, and then when they get there, Russ is pissed because Carter and Lee have obviously thrown a huge monkey wrench in the whole thing.
blown the place to hell.
Yeah,
It's the huge explosion.
The meeting place no longer exists basically as intended. So as that result, Lee's like, okay, this guy's just got to go back. We don't want him here anyway. He's got to go back. He's ruined everything. And they think maybe that Su Young they're going to kill her because they didn't get their money. But instead, they get another call. And you know what? It's $20 million more, $70 million. He did not break down how that was supposed to be divvied up. So maybe that's where you could get the 5s and the 50s. I don't know.
Maybe he sent it in a electronic mail.
Oh, perhaps.
They had to log on. They had to get their AOL demo disc and dial up to check it.
That's good. You've got mail.
Their e-machines.
Oh my god. So you know what? The new drop off is going to be at the Chinese Expo, and that's not. Han doesn't even have to go out of his way because he was going to be there anyway. This is where they were going to all those historical artifacts that were recovered when we started this movie. We're all taken to Los Angeles to be put on display at the Chinese Expo, which
at the LA Convention Center, which I've been to.
Very nice. So the Chinese Expo probably happens before the boat and RV show. I don't really know on the schedule. We'll have to take a look. But
there's probably an anime expo going on somewhere too.
Possibly, maybe the home and garden show that might take place there. Han. So he's gonna the historical artifacts, as I mentioned. But the next day, that no good bastard Thomas Griffin shows up. Oh, my old buddy Han. Oh,
so sad to hear.
And guess what advice he gives them? Yeah, you probably should just pay that $70 million. Save yourself the grief. Make sure you get your daughter back safe. But that's not why he's like, no, I just want that $70 million. Because I'm a dirty two-timing bastard that you don't know that I am yet.
There is a certain layer of irony as well to the British man has stolen all of the artifacts from another culture and wanted to put them on display. That jives.
That's a deeper conversation for another program. Carter manages to, he's like, okay, I'm gonna take care of this shit. So he calls Johnson. It's like, I need you to help me save this girl. Then he gets to the airport, and as you said, apparently you could just do whatever the fuck you want at the airport in 1998 because he just shows up posing as like an airline mechanic, technician type guy. He's got the jumpsuit on and gets in the plane. He's like, yep, we got to hold off on this plane. You tell the pilot to go fuck himself. We got some shit going on.
At least that one he kind of does kind of infiltrate, sneak, and kind of smooth talk his way in.
He does.
So
I
almost buy that. All he really would have had to do is just get past a door, which he probably could have flashed his badge a la John McClane to get in, backstage area.
You're right. Backstage at the airport. Posing.
I don't know what they call it.
I'm guessing not backstage, but it's okay.
That's what it is at Disney World.
Okay. So yeah, he gets there, sits down next to Lee, who conveniently doesn't have anyone sitting next to him.
That did stick out to me as well. I would assume on a transcontinental flight, they probably fill up every seat.
And it's like, hey, we got work to do. And this is where we kind of get a little bit more of the backstories and the motivation for both of these gentlemen. But you know where it's gonna go. Like obviously, Lee's not just gonna be like, you know what? Nah, I screwed this up. I'm not gonna try to redeem myself. I'm just gonna go home with my tail between my legs. Hell to the no. He's gonna do it, and that means all roads lead to the Chinese Expo.
That's right.
And they did manage.
Los Angeles, California, city on the go.
It really is. And they do manage to obviously stop at the tuxedo rental shop because
They're on every corner.
that's
It's like a
true.
Dunkin' in Boston.
So there you go. Yeah, because you never know when an award show is going to pop up.
That's
You have
right.
to
They're
be
just all over the
have to
place.
be at the ready. Um, so yeah, they get there. Han starts his speech, but then it starts getting emotional. Um, Griffin takes over, and shortly thereafter, Carter once again has a very wise decision here because some bad stuff is going to go down, and there's people here who are just there for the frickin' expo. They're not any kind of evil people, or they're just innocent people who are interested in culture.
That is one of the kind of the things about the movie that I think is goes underrated is how competent Carter actually
Mm-hmm.
is. I think we're kind of conditioned to think of, especially the very brash, loud, jokey character is kind of a bumbling fool.
Right,
And like so your theory is like, oh yeah, Lee comes in as this super awesome, ninja cop that is super capable, and Carter is this bumbling, loud idiot. Because it's a buddy cop movie, but he's really not. I mean, obviously he is loud and he's brash and
right,
he's cocky, but like multiple times in the movie, like he sees kind of lays out or he uses his flamboyantness to kind of get something out of somebody or to manipulate someone or to set up something, or he kind of sees what's going to be happening when nobody else sees it. So and that pretty much checks throughout the entire movie. It's not something that comes out of
right.
nowhere. From the very beginning, even the way he tries to get the cops to put
Mm-hmm.
their guns down because they're blowing his bust. Of course, he does shoot the car and blow it up, which maybe you could say was kind of silly. But from that on, he just so it's really just one smart decision after another. But over this veil that he puts up of, the smooth talking, loud jokester.
Yeah, so he goes steps up, says, "Hey, there's a bomb threat. Everybody get out of here," because he figures if you need to be here for your illegal doings
Yep. Anyone who don't get the hell out is
is there because they're going to lose something more than their
right.
lives, so they're going to stick around. And so the innocent bystanders are gone. Uh, Jun Tao has his cash, but he now the schedule now has to be accelerated because this was not supposed to happen. So his helicopter is not there yet. Um, Carter, meanwhile, has gone outside and he sees the van and he sees Su Young and he's like, "Okay, let me get this vest off of you," but no, 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 because it's not just a vest, it's a bomb vest, and it is set to blow up if you try to remove it.
Very observant from Su Yun to pick that up from her
Yeah.
kidnappers.
Um, so he's like, "Well, I know someone who may be able to help out with this." So he just gets in the car, the van, and drives it inside the
Again, what's the safest place though? If you're going to try to keep the terrorists from blowing up the bomb, you take the bomb to them
right.
because now he's got something to lose.
Take the bomb to them. Plus, that's where Johnson is, and if anyone could disarm this thing that's currently available, it's her. So good on them. Lee is trying to save historical artifacts while also dealing with the bad guys.
Another kind of really clever fight scene there is he's pinned beneath heavy
Vase. No,
vases.
they're vases.
Is it just vases,
They're
or is it like
vases in this case because they're
gotcha?
historical and worth a
There you
lot of
go. I
money.
like it.
If it
And
was
then of
just like
course he
something you
does.
got at the CVS, it's a vase.
There you go. I like it. Decorative vases. But he does finally, he knocks the guys out. He puts it back. He wipes his hands of it, and then it just gets blown up by gunfire. Good stuff.
Classic. That's interesting writing. All right. So once the bomb vest is safely removed, Johnson gets in. She's like, "All right, took care of the bomb." Then she just pulls out her gun and starts shooting. She's a badass. Carter, and this is always the thing about a buddy cop movie is you need two bad guys. You need like
That's right.
you need so they could because at one point that you have to split off, and each of the buddies has to take out like one of these major threats.
Everyone has to get their moment.
So Carter goes after the right hand man Sang, while Lee puts the bomb vest on himself and spots John Tao making his way up to the roof. So that's where Lee's gonna go. He's gonna go climb. He's gonna get up there too. And then we get that great Carter and Sang moment where Agent Russ is almost about to be killed, but we get a classic double cross Ryan Campbell.
That's right. Playing off their earlier encounter, he challenges Carter to a one-on-one fight like a man. They both drop their guns and then both immediately go to their side guns. Carter falling back pulls like his ankle like
Right,
hidden
the
gun
classic
and shoots
ankle
him.
gun. Yeah,
Good stuff. And then brings back the line of wipe yourself up, and he tosses in the towel and goes, "You're dead." It's good stuff.
Perfect. Absolutely the way that would have to go. Lee has caught up with Joan Tao. They're like up on a catwalk.
I do love like the entire time that he's like chasing him. He pauses every few minutes to go, "Joan Tao," and just shouted at him. I'm like, "I'm still here, still coming for you."
Well, yeah, it's good for because Joan Tao's not going to be a physical match for our man Lee. But they have a struggle on the catwalk. Of course, the briefcase pops open and money's just raining down upon the expo.
And Carter.
And Carter, yeah, maybe you pocketed a few of those bills.
That's all right. It's okay.
And it then just gets worse because now they're like hanging from the rafters, literally, as the great Gorilla Monsoon would often say. They're literally hanging from the rafters. They weren't literally doing that, Gino, but I understand what you were going for.
At the showboat?
And no, not the showboat. WWF did not work the show. They may have actually had a showboat show, but not on TV. Anyway, so yeah, Lee is hanging from the rafters, and Joan Tao is hanging from Lee, more specifically the vest, and that's not going to last for long. That gives way, which means Joan Tao is going to plunge to his death, lands in the fountain. He dead. But Lee now has been holding on to the rafters for about as long as he can. And
Carter cracking me up here with like, he's like, "I'm going to go get the ambulance. You just hang tight." He's just messing with him. He's like, "Nah, I'm just kidding."
But yeah, Carter again, using his brain, sees these like huge banners that like hanging from the ceiling that go all the way down to the floor practically. He uses one of those to create a makeshift like kind of like the airbag type thing, but also a slide. So Lee's able to land, slides right into his good friend, and that's kind of sums up their relationship there.
Everybody's safe. They've saved each other. I am curious, like in that particular, like obviously we know Jackie Chan does all these stunts. What safeties there were, like in the part where he like walks the catwalk on that beam and goes all the way across. Mm-hmm. Obviously he did walk across the beam, but is it really as high as it is in the movie, or did they shoot that over?
Yeah,
and then kind of green screen it in,
or did they build a replica that was a few feet
right
off
when
ground?
They do the slide gimmick? Was he on wires, or what kind of just kind of curious what kind of safety measures were in place for some of this scene's particular stunts?
These are good questions. Maybe I know the DVD copy I have has the commentary track on it. Maybe I could listen and find out these questions for you.
10 things you didn't know about Rush Hour.
I think I tried it at one point, and a lot of times when I'll do that, if like in that first 20 minutes I don't have like two things,
then it's going to be a stretch.
It's abort, yeah. And I think that was one of those where it was like they're not really saying anything about the movie.
The only 10 things I've ever done was for Buckaroo Banzai. That was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are like sometimes it's like you get them and it's like you got 5 things.
I had like 20 in that thing.
Mm-hmm. Those are the best ones. Where it's like when it's like
I had to edit that list down.
When it's a half hour in and I've got 9. I'm like, I'm home free. Like, yeah, now it's like, well, I could probably combine some of these or like take some of these. Like, that's not that interesting. Or then you can play with it a little bit. But back to the movie because we're about done. Han and Soo Young have their happy reunion. And then we find out as a reward for his efforts, Carter is given a 2-week vacation to go back with his new buddy Lee to Hong Kong.
To go see his crib and hang with his people.
Mm-hmm. But
not before he's greeted by the FBI
the
agents.
FBI who didn't want anything to do with him.
Who again meet him at the gate because that was a thing you could do back then.
Right. And I would assume the FBI could do that right now if they wanted to, but it was it was all nonchalant. You could just do whatever you want.
I remember my sister went to Australia for some student, I don't know, some stupid thing. And I remember going all the way to the gate, watching her get on the plane and going all the way when she got back and greeting her as she walked off.
I remember as a very young kid, my dad just took us to the airport for nobody was
going to watch planes take off.
Yeah, nobody was going anywhere.
Take off.
Yeah, we got like candy at the thing, sat there and watched planes take off. We didn't know anybody going anywhere. We weren't picking nobody up. We just had nothing better to do.
It was free entertainment.
There were 3 fucking channels on TV, and it's like, let's just go look at the planes.
Watch the airplanes.
And you're a kid, you're like, that's the coolest thing. Like, oh, that's an airplane. And you're like practically right there on top of them. Give me a break. Anyway, yeah. So they're there. He's like, hey, we want you on the FBI. You can be a part of the FBI. He tells them to shove that FBI badge up their ass because he's LAPD.
Boom.
He is now, he is proud of what he is and not trying to be something he's not. And Carter and Lee are on the plane. Carter finds out this is going to be a long ass flight, like 14 hours. And our boy Lee puts the headphones on and starts singing War once again.
For 14 hours.
That would be hell on earth.
Stewardess. It's good stuff.
End credits, the classic Jackie Chan bloopers being involved in the end credits. You got to have those. It doesn't feel like a Jackie Chan movie if you don't have that.
That's right. You got to see all the times that he like stubs his toe and smashes his hand and eats shit, all that good stuff.
Final thoughts, Ryan Campbell, on Rush Hour.
Pretty darn close to being a perfect movie. It really takes a tried and true formula and then adds it with like Hong Kong stunt action and then just the outrageous comedy. You throw all these things and mix them up and you just get this tightly well thought out, well paced, enjoyable movie. It's just really good. It doesn't get talked about a lot. Like it didn't seem, I mean, I know everybody quotes it. Like people might say quotes every once in a while, but when you're thinking about those late 90s, good movies, it doesn't come up often, which is kind of in this weird place.
And that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted us to talk about it because it deserves to be talked about. I mean, yeah, I think as time has gone on, it's been more forgotten. But yeah, at the time it was big, and then obviously it spawned 2 sequels, which got more of a summer release. So had the success kind of off season. It still was towards the tail end of the big blockbuster season, but yeah, Rush Hour 2 finished number 4 domestically. Rush Hour 3 number 14. So they did pretty well for themselves.
I've seen 3, but I don't really remember it.
I don't believe I've ever seen 3. So
I'm pretty sure I saw it like on TV. Like I didn't go see it.
Right. So yeah,
I remember liking 2, but apparently I don't remember the plot that much.
I don't
I thought
either.
This one was Rush Hour 2.
And I remember liking it as well. But again, I think I saw it that one time at the theater. And I was like, oh, that was cool. And then just never.
The thing I remember most about Rush Hour 2 is in the bloopers when Chris Tucker goes, he ain't going to be in Rush Hour 3. That's what I remember most about Rush Hour 2.
Good. Very good. So yeah, Rush Hour. Glad we got to talk about it here on the podcast. Coming up on our October slate, as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be the best Van Damme week ever. We will be talking about Kickboxer, but it's also spooky season, so we will have our annual Halloween episode at the end of the month. But we might sneak an episode in before both of those. We'll see what happens. And of course, the one of the best ways to keep up with what's going on is social media at Bulletproof Pod on X and at Bulletproof Action on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Ryan Campbell, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, just keep checking in. Like I said, we're doing Agatha All Alone that just got started. Reigns of Power, we're about midway through. And I feel like there's always something else that I forget about that I see. Oh, hey, this starts next week. I should probably be covering
Yeah.
that. So just tune in. Follow me on Twitter at RyCammon7. I usually share everything there, or you tag me and stuff when it gets shared. So, but good stuff. I'm always trying to keep an eye out for something.
Yeah, I never pay attention to when those shows start, and then you suddenly are like, "Hey, this starts," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, go for it.
I guess we're doing this for the next 7 weeks.
Do what you. Yeah, there are times like when I'm getting pictures for it, I'm like, I'm gonna have to be looking at these pictures for how many weeks now? I don't like the looks of these characters. Anyway, it's all right. Just why? Why am I doing this? But we do it because we want to cover as much action as possible, and for some people they would have no interest in things like Lord of the Rings, but others, that's exactly what they want to do. So there is definitely something for every action fan on Bulletproof Action. Whether you're into the fantasy, whether you're into the martial arts, whether you're just into the old school exploitation type stuff, or the big budget blockbusters, it's we cover it all. We cover it all.
I even did an anime article once. It didn't go very
No,
well, but I tried.
no one cares. Yeah, but
No one cared.
again, we're always trying something. So there you have it. Bulletproofaction.com. Check it out. And I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. And as always, stay tuned for more of the Bulletproof Podcast.